approaches and has a hit. Jack McGlynn! That is an absolute banger to draw this game level.
What's happening? We're back. First official match week. Saturday, games kicking off. Everybody's excited. I'm excited. People in the chat are excited as well. First and foremost, as people get in here, what's happening? Thanks for joining me. I don't sound great. I had a sick kid, naturally, sick kid gives it to you. So I don't feel great, not gonna lie, but we're gonna power through here. Hatligin, I know you're watching this back. What's happening? Thanks for commenting early. His question is, he'll be in bed. Obviously, terrible time. For some of us, the extent of Zinkernagel's injury for the Chicago Fire, he limped off with a groin injury in the last friendly. If you caught any of the crossfire between Gator guy Keith and not even gonna say his name because he doesn't deserve it. One of the beat writers for Chicago. We're not going to get any Chicago information. It really seems like from Greg or any of the beat writers because there's some attitudes there. But I'm not going to go into that any further. But I am 60% on Zinkernagel starting. It was a groin issue. He kind of limped off, and it was said that Greg said he wanted to have everybody 90-minute fit. I think that was around the 82nd minute. So I have him in my starting lineup, but at 60%, there is a little bit of uncertainty there. Red or Dead, what's happening? Thanks for coming in. Ducky, let's go. What's happening? Balot, what's happening? Thanks for stopping in beforehand. Good luck on your meeting, and good luck this weekend. Absolutely. Alex, what's happening? Let's get this. Match week 1. Javik, what's happening? Let's go. Red Devil, or Red Evil, probably. What's happening? Nice to hear from you. Vancouver have looked woeful. Good decision to divert away from Vancouver. Narky, what's happening? Yeah. Yeah, interesting there. Gald got his goal, though. That's what everyone wants. Ronan, let's go. Thanks for coming back. Good to hear from you. Deco, let's go. Yeah, McGlynn banger. It is sad, but I'm keeping it for the time being. It just, it is sad, but, don't be sad because you lost. Be sad because of what he gave you, He's going to bang in Houston, though, so we'll be happy about that. A last-minute FOMO bought a squad on budget. Matt Freese, Jack Elliott, Artur, Ponce, and Dreyer. Nice. It's a good-looking squad. Let's go. Good morning to you. Good evening to you, Thomas. Love to hear it. People from everywhere, thanks for coming in. If you're new to the show or whatever you want to call this, my Monday and Thursdays, it's basically just a free-for-all. So no real schedule. If you have questions as we go, hit me with them. I don't have all the answers, but I'll tell you what I know about the situation. I was waiting for some pressers today that never came, so that's always fun. Chicago being one of them. We did get some information from others, got some information in Atlanta. There's Thomas's boys there. That back line looks a little scary just based on who they have and who they might not have. But yeah, we've had some information, some interesting spots, and some odds that, boy, I just don't know if I'm in the wrong or the odds makers are, just because I don't agree with some of these odds, but it's probably just me. Ronan, I can confirm I am back, but it's with a heavy heart after all the fighting I did with Sorare community managers and the implementation of the no card entry. I have sold up. Ronan, I'm sorry to hear that, but completely understand. Yeah, that's crazy over there. I sold up my Europe gallery and spent way too much on in-season cards. Aaron Dean, what's happening? So first off, we got zero information from Columbus all preseason. It's brutal. It's horrendous. So I'm going to show this one just because this is what I think. And this goes off basically a lot of guessing. So Columbus is one that I don't feel super confident about. But I'll explain my reasoning and everything that goes along with this. So if you're not on Sorare Inside, you can get 10% off using the code DEEK10. And I do these. I have several experts, including Alex in the chat for Sporting Kansas City. We have an expert for Atlanta, for DC, for San Diego, and for St. Louis. I believe those are all the experts. If I missed any of you guys, I apologize. But I do all the other teams. So Columbus. Okay, first off, if it was me, I would 100% bench Camacho, just because he's not as good as the others. My ideal back will be Morera in the middle, Amundsen on the left, and Chaburka on the right. That would be my ideal. And I think by the end of the season, hopefully, they do move on from Camacho as far as a starter. He can be a sub off the bench. But again, Nancy is really loyal to Camacho from his time in Montreal. That's why I keep putting him in the lineup. That's why I don't have Chaburko in there. I have 70% on Amundsen, 65% on Chaburko. If you're around last season, it was a lot of this. Like, Amundsen would go in stretches. Chaburko would go in stretches. It's just really difficult to call. In the second half of that, so that's, the back line, what else goes on? So as far as up top, I have Diego Rossi as the false 9, but it could be Russell Rowe. It's just one or the other. So there is a domino effect in this situation. This would be like my lineup from here on. This makes the most sense to me, but this might not be how they line up. You push Arfston up to that like left wing, left attack mid position. That allows you to play DeJuan Jones at left mid or left wing back. So it basically gets your best 11 outside of Camacho onto the field instead of playing Russell Rowe and then, Diego Rossi in that more familiar position makes more sense. But I just think that you play DeJuan Jones, that shores up the back line a little bit more. You let Arfston run free on the wing, and I think he'll play pretty well in that position. But that's a lot of what ifs. I've talked to a bunch of people about Columbus. They need to sign a number 9. Until they do, I think they'll do a little bit of rotation trying to see what actually sticks. So that's what I think on Columbus. Is it right? We're not going to know, right? Until it actually happens. Let's show some match stats on here. Can we do that? There we go. Yeah. Still involved in Sorare. Just no card entry front. It's good thing. Love catching the teams. Yeah, if it's fun, that's why you do it. A lot of this you get tied up to this. Is this an investment? All this kind of stuff. It's kind of rough. But you have fun with it, and then it's less rough. You still renew it. I appreciate that. That's means a lot. Unless NC's unique. Wow. Okay. Interesting. Shoe Dude, what's happening? Not sure if there's much info in there, but I know just sure had something going on with his visas. You good for the weekend? A little bit of a toss up from what I saw on St. Louis. We do have a St. Louis expert. His name is Just Heat, and he does a good job. So he had a groin injury management kind of issue going on. Then he went back for the green card process. He is back officially, I believe today. It was either yesterday or today. So one or the other. As far as for the weekend, it's a toss-up. Whenever I did my, let's see, gotta look on my RotoWire. If you're not, subscribed to anything and you want to look at free lineups, I do RotoWire's lineups. So I make those available for all, and they're free. There's just no information behind them, so it's just kind of here's who I think is going to start, and that's about it. I think I had Besher, though, in there as my starter. But I have it as a 50-50 personally. And it looks like Just Heat has 60-40. So some definite kind of question marks there. So, yeah, that's a little bit tough there. JJ Lane, what's happening? Do you think Hani will be good for this weekend, or is he a big risk? He's a risk. He's definitely a risk, but they're saying all the right things. I'll show Nashville. As far as I have him at 60%. So, there is risk there. The quotes were Hani Mukhtar, Patrick Yazbek, and Brian Acosta are all working through knocks. BJ Callahan said they could play, but will be evaluated more in the next 48 hours. That was said today. That's about the worst thing that could be said because we're not going to have any information before lock. So as far as playing Hani, there is a little bit of risk there. If he can go play in New England, that's a good matchup. 55% to win. Supposed to score almost 2 goals. It's a risk. I wouldn't put him in my top lineup unless you absolutely had to. Down the line where it's worth a little bit of risk, then maybe. Maybe you throw him in like the anti-stacks, maybe as a one-off, just because you're not going to go to D3 or anything if there's any issues there. Balot, I got one secondary. My fifth will probably be Derek Jones. Is it Derek Jones or DeJuan Jones? They both play for Columbus. Nico Sikaris, don't see him starting. And Kelly from the Timbers. You'll listen to your response later. Okay, I'll get you your response. Are you saying Kelsey from Timbers? I guess if you're listening back, then we just won't know. But yeah, so I would say if it's DeJuan Jones, I like DeJuan Jones, but there's a chance he doesn't start. I think Kevin Kelsey has a good chance to start just based on what they've done in the preseason. Portland, boy, they have so many injuries. Santi Moreno's out. Jono Rodriguez is out. Juan Mascara most likely out. He's doubtful, bench at best. They have a lot of missing pieces, so a little bit tricky there, but I'd probably go DeJuan Jones, then Kelsey as my second. I don't see Sikaris starting. John Andrews, what's happening? Doing pretty well. Hope you're going. Hope you're doing well. Also, Just Heat's in the house too. So he is our St. Louis guy. He is updating 5 minutes. That's the man, the myth, the legend. Make more money on no card entries. So it makes, yeah. I still don't understand how that works. But yeah, that's crazy. I'll always be in here causing trouble. Yeah. It was great times last year. Okay, he's leaning. Yeah, but he should be available. Yeah. A lot of these first match weeks. So we talk about Hugo Kuipers was asked a lot. I just don't see him starting. Could he make an appearance? He has been training the last couple of days. But match day 1, these guys aren't going to be risked. It is kind of my leaning. So like in all my projections, I've kind of either docked the percent significantly or just kind of had them as a backup. Latest on Diego Luna, the plan was for him to sit out the midweek and then best case scenario off the bench for the weekend. So you don't love that, but if he can play 30 minutes, maybe the reverse fixture against Herediano, maybe in the midweek. Do I reckon that Rusnak starts? So I do have Rusnak in my starting lineup. It is kind of a musical chairs up top, but I do have him in there just based on how many minutes he played. And as far as their reverse fixture in the next midweek, I don't see the need to risk a lot of guys. So I think they're going to rotate next midweek. So I think Seattle goes with a really strong lineup, probably their best possible. Do you think John Gallagher is a starter in this Austin side or utility? I think he's a utility guy, but he's going to be forced into start at times just because he isn't the starter at right back. Dessler is above him. And then the midfield, when everyone's healthy, like Sabovic or however you say it, whenever he's fully fit, I think he's going to be a starter. It's just kind of a stopgap guy at the moment. But yeah. Do we like Almiron? Yeah, we love Miggy. Yeah, like you said, there could be a little risk with, being eased in. Maybe he doesn't play as many minutes, but boy, if they didn't start him, I'd kind of be shocked based on all that they're missing on the back end. So I am definitely playing my Miggy. I haven't built out my lineups yet, but I just got one today, but I'm going to play him. Yeah, Derek Jones is the central midfielder that doesn't play as much. Technical gambling under UK law, doesn't have a gambling license. Yeah, okay, I got it. So like us gambling with trying to get essence. It makes sense. I got you. Do you think DaCosta plays for Portland? So the quote from there, am I already on Portland? I am. I didn't put it in here. Yeah, I'll pull up Portland. We did get a quote on him today. I have him down at 20% just based on he's still waiting on his visa, and it seems unlikely at this point, was the quote, direct quote from today's presser. We've talked about on the stream how much we hate Portland's information. I'll leave it at that. But with that quote, I only went 20%. I think we see something like a 5-3-2 or a 3-5-2 with Forey. They love him, that Jimmer, up and down the wing. So that's going to be interesting if he starts over Bravo, which based on the preseason, that's kind of what they have. And then with no attacking mid, just kind of like the 3 center mids where Julio Ortiz is what he is in the system, but what's his actual name? João Ortiz. So if you get those guys confused, so did I. But I think they play 2 strikers up top just because that's what they've done in the preseason. That's not what they've done before. It's just kind of out of necessity. So with all the injuries. Let's go. Yeah. Whenever the kid goes down, it's best case scenario, right? Earlier last week, or was that last week? Yeah. Monday, I guess. But a little bit less here. I think he didn't go down to like 9:20. So still early, regardless. We are back. Absolutely, we are. Daniel Johannesson, we're back. Diego, that's a great question. So based on Corner of the Galaxy podcast and a few other of the, beat writers or people close to the situation, they are saying that Mikovic won it out. I went 60-40 just because until I see it, I don't know if I believe it, but it's kind of crazy that McCarthy, lost his job after winning MLS Cup. I know they kind of looked at it again. I do think Mikovic is very talented, but I would have thought with like the new trade rules and things like that, that maybe a team that needed a goalkeeper would have traded for McCarthy. So I'm kind of surprised if he just flat out loses it, and then, maybe they will move him. Diego Rusty season, let's go. So let's run through a couple of these. And again, just shoot me your questions as we're going. We're going to start at the top. So Inter Miami match was moved, so they are not the kickoff match. I really do like how we are kind of offsetting the time frames a little bit, so it's not like all of them at one time. So it's a little bit better than previous. I think it really takes into effect next weekend, but I do like how there's more just kind of spread out matches instead of just, I'm trying to keep up with 10 matches going on at the same time. It's really tough. Early flight. Jan, it's on the move. It's hilarious. Yeah. Glad to see you in here. So starting at the top, LAFC is interesting because, they got a new signing. He's not here yet, but they did get a new right wing. If you're interested in this sheet, I said about it last week, but if you're interested in this sheet, this is in my pinned tweet. So Sorare on X or Twitter. I kind of have as much information as I can, updated with the preseason. A lot of closed door for LAFC, so not a lot going on there, but you can kind of see what I have going on. And then I just basically do the server scores, how many minutes they played, were they a sub, did they start, what position, just to give a little bit of a timeline to kind of, go through. So that rumor on Daniel Castillo, I haven't heard anything else about it. And he played today and won a penalty. So I'm not sure if that's in the works. They could use another central midfielder, but that's kind of maybe off the table. We'll see. And from Fenner, That's a really good deal. So like in the grand scheme of, the salary cap, everything going on, this loan until summer and then the buy option after provides great flexibility where, if it isn't a good fit, they can, not make it happen. Some of the other teams have done this as well, which has been, smart. Instead of locking in a DP, he doesn't work, then you're kind of stuck with him. So smart move there after the Giroud move, which seems to be pretty bad. He's pretty dusty, but a good piece of business for Under. And he should smash. He should definitely smash. Bouanga took all sets. And if I'm watching the match, so like I had practice last night, so I couldn't really do this, but I was just kind of going through corners, things like that. But that was just a me thing. Under the Raiders striker. If Houston isn't horrible, Ponce could be interesting, just goal scoring ability. I like Yeboah a lot from Minnesota in this LAFC Minnesota game. Not this week, but in the right matchup. I like him as well. What else we got here? Underrated. I think Brandon Vasquez's price isn't that high as far as his Sorare cards, but very goal dependent, but he should score a decent amount of goals. Patrick Agiman should be good. For Charlotte, Rafael Navarro, I feel like he doesn't get a lot of hype. He plays every match whenever he's fit. But I'm not sure how much like under the radar these guys are as far as those options. Maybe Campana for New England. Just he's never really had a full starting role, and I'm interested to see what he can do in that role. I really like New England's attack, and I am a lot higher than I think a lot of people are on them. Not saying like win the East, but I think they're a playoff team in my opinion. But yeah, I'll go with that. Chaburko, I don't have him as starting, but it's kind of a toss-up. I went through, if you go back a little bit, but I went through the entire situation there of just kind of what I think there. Should I be concerned about ties? So as far as me, I think it's going to be a little bit of rotation. Ura is in the last year of his deal, and he's a DP. They're going to move away from him. I don't know if it's just going to be at the end of this season or summer look to move him. Damiani is his replacement, in my opinion, where Baribo he has that option year. I like Baribo a lot better than Ura. I've said it a ton. So as far as that goes, but I don't have any information on Carnell and what he thinks. Again, that's kind of like my personal belief on the situation. But yeah. Situation with Rusnak. He has a good chance to start, solid chance to start. He came off the bench. So again, another use for the sheet. You say, okay, what happened with Rusnak? You can see here, he didn't play in the final friendly. And then you take a look here, 23 minutes off the bench, 73.1 score, and a goal. So that's what you love. Luca Orjano, the direct quote from Coach Pat Noonan was laughable, but yeah, I'll bring it up. It was a coach's decision, and he might play this weekend. That was the direct quote. Good luck. JB, what's happening? Kamungo, that's interesting. Pedrinho had a great preseason. Started on that right side, started at center attacking mid. He started a lot. He had a good multiple assists. He played well. There is a lot of hype, and I could see him starting. I have Kamungo at 60%. He started 3 straight, and then he was a sub in the final little tune-up, and he scored a goal. But as far as Kamungo, yeah, I would say. It's Hershey. What's happening? You just finished watching Vancouver, I assume. Maybe a little Four Nations. Yeah, he is always in it. But yeah, Whitecaps lost. Sorry to hear that, but reverse fixture. You know, it's tough to go down there. I watched Philadelphia play Saprissa last year and really struggle with them. So, yeah, as Daniel said, I would recommend trying to not be in on that. Be concerned with anyone Carnell's coaching. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Johanneton. So 2 months ago, that Uro will probably move in the summer. Yeah. That's kind of what my assumption was. They're kind of done with them. But yeah. Yeah, Four Nations on the side. I do as well. We have some crazy wind going on. I don't want the stream to go out. And sometimes whenever I stream something and stream on here, it gets a little wonky. Am I sick for building 46 lineups? No, that's awesome. That is awesome. I'll probably build my lineups on here just because I'll show off what all I bought. It's kind of disgusting how many auctions I was in on. I am under the... I'm putting this to test. This is not an ROI thing. This is a fun thing for me. I picked up a ton of collection pieces to boost players. But some of the players I haven't bought. So a Ryan Gauld, I haven't bought him yet. I'm waiting for his price to go down. I have bought a lot of guys at stupid prices, but again, this is more fun. I want to play for right now, game one. Match week 1, I'm only playing MLS, so this is kind of an all-in. I'm trying to get all 3 in D1. I mean, I'm sure everyone is, but yeah, prices are horrendous. I overpaid on several, underpaid on a bunch too. I think I got some really good deals, but not all of them are deals, that's for sure. It's kind of sickening, some of them. But yeah, lots of Essence heading my way. I haven't had any good Essence pulls, which is fine. But and I think I've bought close to 100 cards, and I've pulled 2 or 3 promos. I think I'm at 2.9%. I did it earlier instead of the 5%. But yeah, and they were all horrendous pulls, but it is what it is. Yeah, fully ready to dive in. Yeah, that's kind of, the prices were terrible, but from my situation, I sold up all my European gallery, and I've been playing for years. But yeah, that's kind of, I sold off a lot of cards, and I had a pretty good kitty to start with, so that's kind of what I went all in. No, what was a giveaway? What was the giveaway for a Momo hooking you guys up? Now, were you always on there, or did you just join recently? Detroit. Signed FCC. Yeah, FC Cincinnati jersey. That's awesome. Congratulations. It's a big giveaway. From Kentucky? Was that directed towards me or someone else? Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, I got you. I thought, I just wasn't sure. You got room for another? I just can't commit to it. I got the Monday, Thursdays, and just kind of freelancer. All these lineups, I just don't have time to do other stuff. All right. Keep finding your questions. I'm going to just give you my little tidbit. I did make some bets. Just, I do bet on MLS, but not financial advice whatsoever. But I'll just give you a little bit of insight into what I'm thinking happens this weekend with each matchup. So we'll just kind of quickly go through these. I'm not going to go too in depth, but, Red or Dead. Oh, got a classic rare Lucho and Ramiro Enrique. Let's go. Any update on Peltola? I haven't seen an update, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm pretty sure he's probably not going to be ready for match week 1. At least I didn't have him in my projected lineup. I haven't seen an update personally, though. Danya is our DC guy. So on server inside, whatever he says is gospel in DC. He is one of the biggest DC fans I know. They paid too much, in my opinion, for him. I know it's Carnell's guy, but, you know, I don't know. Okay. Columbus assumes Cincy. Gotcha. Gotcha. I always forget that, like, the border's right there. Oh, MLS watch party. Nice. Yeah, that's a great idea. I just, for my watch parties, I'm like updating my Google Sheet while I watch. So pretty tough. Yeah, I mean, he'll play a role. I just don't know. I don't know. It's too much. Too much. Final in season, I'd probably play Glavinovich based on he's fully training and should be good to go. Not that Danley isn't. It's just there's a little bit more of a toss-up of what position he's going to play, just because it seems like new signing Lukic is going to be the 6, but they've been playing a 4-2-2-2, so he has been playing beside him. But Jesus Bueno is also in the mix, so I would say just Glavinovich is probably a little bit safer, probably. Sounds good. Can't commit to anything, but I'll let you know. I do have hockey games, but they're at home, so I'll be back. I just probably missed the first. I forget what time this LAFC match is. I think it's at like 4:30 my time, so I'll probably miss that one. Bobby, I talked about Kuipers a little bit earlier. I don't think he's going to start. I do think he's probably going to come off the bench for some minutes. Hasn't gone through any of the preseason matches, but he has been training the last few days. I'm thinking coming off the bench, if you're like hoping for a guy who starts, I don't think he's it though. At least for like the first match or maybe first couple matches, but then he'll be safe starter after. So let's start with LAFC. They had the midweek match, quickish turnaround. And they're playing Minnesota United, who I like Minnesota United, but LAFC is a better team, but they are pretty, they don't have a lot of rotation pieces at each position, just based on they've sold a lot of players. They haven't brought in a ton. They brought in a few pieces, but if you take a look at, you know, what I think the roster is going to be, there's just not a lot. Like in the midfield, there isn't really an option to not play those guys unless it's a formation change. I watched the match and I thought Segura was horrendous. So I could see Tafari getting a chance, but again, that's a 40%. You probably aren't playing either of those players, but that could be like the change that we see. Maybe Giroud doesn't start. I went 70% on Giroud. But I do think David Martinez should start over Ordaz. I was kind of surprised that he didn't the first match, especially with, you know, new signing coming in. So they lost the first leg, so maybe we see a couple rotation spots here, and then in the midweek they're going to go after the CONCACAF Champions Cup. But they did get an away goal, so that's big for them. So yeah, I think LAFC does have enough to get that done. That's just a no bet for me, though. Is Franco Escobar alive? That is a good question. I haven't seen anything on him. Literally nothing. He hasn't been in the preseason whatsoever. Pretty horrendous because we have zero information. I tried to listen to a podcast, didn't hear anything. That they didn't talk about him at all. I looked at training pictures today. I couldn't really tell. It was a small picture, so I don't have any information there. I just am assuming he's not going to be there. So if you have a Franco Escobar, you just can't play him just based on we don't have any information, which is brutal. Second match, we have Orlando City against my Philadelphia Union. 58% chance for Orlando City. I do think Orlando City wins this match. I'm going to be interested to see how Carnell plays. It's going to be like throw everything to the wall, press, just kind of play crazy, which is exact opposite of what Curtin did last year. It was a sit back and then take your chances whenever you got them. So that's kind of why Tanner and company went a different way. Is it going to work? We'll see. But if you haven't seen my RotoWire article, I wrote up a few Orlando players. Guys like Ojeda, of course. His forward card is pretty expensive, but I like Pasalic and I like Rafael Santos a lot, both of them. I don't own a Rafael Santos. I wish I did, but he would be a guy that, I would like in this matchup for sure. Miami, New York City. I am very low on New York City, especially with selling Santi. The one player I am high on is Hannes Wolf. Second-year bump. He should get sets pretty much, unless Julian Fernandez is on there. Julian Fernandez takes some sets. So, I just don't love the team. They're going through some injuries too. You're going to be without Tavon Gray and Diego Martins. So, the whole right side here is going to be new. O'Toole is questionable, undisclosed injury. He might be there. If he can't go, one little tidbit, this guy doesn't have cards. I couldn't even pick him. Nicholas Cavallo. He has been playing and he doesn't have a contract. I assumed that they were going to sign him because Christian McFarland's gone, but haven't heard anything. He would be a guy that could start if O'Toole can't go. But, that's another guy. If they have, the whole back line is pretty tough. They lost Sands already. A lot of things going on there. They were playing Bakrar and Martinez together, which is kind of crazy. Morales, if he starts, but yeah, it's tough. New coach Pascal Janssen, be interesting. Yeah, Ojeda should definitely thrive without Facu. I agree with that for sure. Ojeda was the one that his price started to take off, and I'm like, I think I missed the boat. But Frankie Westfield card. He has a chance for sure. All right, next up, FC Cincinnati, New York Red Bulls. Very interesting. FC Cincinnati, 48%. A little bit tricky with, all that's going on. Midweek match, travel. But the nice thing is pretty easy win. So then I would fully expect significant rotation next midweek. Play their studs now. Evander came off the bench, had a goal and assist. I do have him at 70%. That might be high, but I think he's shown that he can play, whether it's 60 minutes, whatever. Then what I would think is, rest midweek, start and probably go 90 next weekend. So that's kind of my thinking. Lucas Engel, I did buy his card in that left wing back spot. Hadebe, I would say teenage had a baby, but I have to catch myself sometimes. He played 45 minutes. He came on for the trialist who I can't even think of what the trialist name was that I did not see starting because we didn't have the name of the trialist before. But he should start. Flores got some minutes off the bench as well, but we should see Powell again. Other than that, the big question mark is Orjano. Coach's decision. You don't love to hear that. And then the additional notes here, Luca Orjano did not make the trip midweek due to the coach's decision. Coach Pat Noonan said, "We'll see," when asked if Orjano will play Saturday. That's not what you want to hear. As an Orjano owner, I am not playing mine. So whether or not you play yours is up to you, but I do think Kubo is going to start in that spot. Please don't give us more Corey Baird. I cannot stand Corey Baird, but please just play Evander. I don't have an Evander, but please just play him. But in that match, Red Bulls have some different things going on. Tolkien leaving. I do like Emil Forsberg in a second-year jump. He's probably loving the U.S., away from his ex-wife, all those things. No more family. That's great. Great for him. Boy, that's just a tough match to pick, though. Davidov, what's happening? So I can see that being a draw or maybe like I don't know. If Evander starts, maybe we see Evander Denke connection get going. But I could see like a 2-1 Cincy win or maybe a 1-1, 2-2 draw. But I mean, Red Bull scoring 2 goals might be crazy too. Atlanta. So one of my kind of year to year that everyone probably knows by now. Montreal plays like the first 7 matches. This year it's 7, I think. Before it was 6, 7. That's how many matches they play on the road to start the year. It is brutal. It is a brutal stretch. And Coach Courtois in his second year, he thinks he's Nancy. And he has been doing some questionable things. So let's go into Montreal. Had a little help. And he is going to be our Montreal expert. But Garnacha, I don't know if I'm saying that right. He got some French speaking, tidbits because just, it's hard to get some of the information, just translation, things like that. What they're hearing from camp is Fabien Herbers and Opoku are going to start over Clark and Duke, which I think is kind of crazy. Clark was so good last year. This is just coming from the beat writer. I don't know. That'd just be crazy. The other two, and that's why I went 50-50 because I just don't know if I can believe that it's going to happen. I guess we'll see. But the other 50-50 is Dante Sealy experiment is back. He was at FC Dallas last year over Tom Pierce. Again, this is coming from a beat writer. He has been at trainings. He's been at a lot of different things. And Luca Petrasso over Alvarez with Neil being out still. So this is just bonkers to me. I think this team stinks. If they actually play like this, I don't think Courtois keeps his job unless they just keep him around the rest of the year. I think Atlanta is going to be hungry, and it's going to be, they could score like 4. It could be like a 4-1 match. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's, they just fit the system really well. And Dante Sealy makes me nauseous. Yeah. Talk about Columbus, but Chicago, same thing. I wouldn't say that Columbus should be 68% to win. I think that is super high. I played the spread. I believe it was plus 1.25 goals. That's I believe in Chicago to a point. This is a tough environment to go into, though. I don't think they're going to win the game, but I can see them losing by 1. I'm interested to see Jonathan Bamba. If Zink is healthy, it'd be fun to see him. But whenever Tom Barlow is your likely starting striker, that's just not ideal. Yeah, Courtois is just like keeps saying that like it's his team, it's his decisions, but like, I mean, come on. I could be wrong, and I could just be like blindly listening to the beat writer, but I've heard like multiple reports of this that like the first team practice and the first team training has been there. Not nice. You like a 1-0, 1-1? I would take that. That's a winning bet. So it would tie in the +1 and it'd win. Diego, yeah, they do. But home field advantage is huge in MLS. So I'm going to wait for their first home game to fire up my my Mo Bamba. Another one I like is DC. I'll let you take a second to let that sit and sink in. I know that's crazy to say. I just think Toronto is so bad. They're just horrendous. What's up, Duncan? Berhalter. Yeah. I mean, Berhalter's been good in MLS. I don't like him personally, but 3-1 Columbus. Yeah, could be. Could definitely be. It's just, I think you said earlier, Diego Rossi hat trick, right? So that's on brand. But yeah, Toronto's kind of a dumpster fire just because Insigne is eating up that DP spot, and they're just paying him so much that it's just brutal. They can't get anybody in because of that. I don't hate some of the moves that they've made, but I think DC is in a really good spot. Benteke, boy, I just think he's going to have a brace. I don't know. So I love Benteke. I love Aaron Herrera. I wrote them both up in my article. I think those guys are going to score really well. And I'm leaning towards playing them in my top lineup. So we'll see after I get through all these games, we'll see what I actually do. I haven't looked into it a ton, but I don't know. Herrera is probably my best in-season defender that I have based on this matchup. Next up, we have Nashville and New England. Nashville just depends on, is Hani playing? Is some of these guys, we're going to have some not ideal situations based on who's starting. So Nashville has some injury concerns. New England, they have a lot of different pieces. I think they had like 13 signings. It'll be interesting to see how they get on. It's going to be tough on the road. Could be very, very, very tricky. But I do think Nashville will do well. But I could see that being a draw. I don't think that's crazy to imagine that, Nashville gets off to the start of the year, a 1-1 draw or something like that. But yeah, we'll see. Houston, FC Dallas. Okay. So FC Dallas's defense in the preseason has been horrendous. Your Hoghide, or however you say it, I'm going to say it, your Hoghide all year. I love that name. He's with the team, but I don't think they're going to start him out of the gate. He's fit, but yeah, I just, that back line is just not good enough. I sneaky kind of like Houston in this matchup. Not just this is going to be a gross game just on the backside. So no Mikael and no Escobar likely. And Andrade, he's still in the process of joining the team. So, he's a center back replacement likely. So you're probably going to have Barlow or Femi Awodisi, maybe, on the backside. So that's going to be bad. I love Jack McGlynn, obviously. His progressive passing in kind of similar to Hector Herrera role in this team, he should do really well. Ponce, I think he's going to be solid, but they need somebody else. Ladero, I don't think he's going to start right out of the gate. He's not the answer. It's just kind of more of a Band-Aid at that number 10 role, because Bassi should move to the right side whenever that happens, play on the right wing. They have some guys that are injured, Anelli and Quinones wingers, but yeah, it's not the best lineup. I'm not trying to say that this lineup's great, but in this rivalry, it's tough to win in Houston. It's tougher to win in the summer in Houston, but 55% winning percentage. I do rate Houston high enough to get a result here. I know there's a lot of hype behind, Petar Musa and the Lucho Costa. So I'm going to say the hype doesn't start just yet. I think they struggle out of the gate, but their first home match, they combine for one of those double decisives. I am going 70%. I might be a little high on that. I'm going 70%. I think he starts this weekend. Then I think he is on the bench because they're going to rest, everyone they can in the midweek. And then he starts again and goes 90 the following week. So I'm going to go 60%. I'm going to go 70% that he can go 60 minutes is my guess on Evander Dunk. Ooh, off the post. Dang. Austin FC against Sporting Kansas City. So Sporting Kansas City is coming off the 1-0 loss. They did have some pauses. Manu Garcia looks like the real deal. I do like what I've seen from him in the very brief time that we saw him in terrible conditions as well. But this Austin team has retold. Obviously, they've spent a lot of money. Got rid of Driussi, which isn't a bad thing based on what he's been the last couple of years. He just, what was that? 3 years ago, he was phenomenal. Just kind of downhill from there. They got way more money I thought it would. But you're not going to see There's good news and bad news. So I'll just kind of open it up. Yeah, I'd say worth the risk just because you saw what he could do in 20 minutes. Evander is Evander. The good news is Bukhari, that was just a cramp per today's presser, which is great. Thought it was a hamstring at first. So that's great. The bad thing, but this is kind of already assumed, Mirto Uzuni just got into awesome this week. Staff will decide Friday if he'll play. They're being cautious. I would just say there's no way, if you have him, there's no way you're playing him just because it's not worth the risk. You might get 25 minutes off the bench, but what are we doing here if that's what you're going after? There's a lot of toss-ups though, just based on preseason and everything. I like Danny Pereira a lot. I think he's going to be a good option this year. His price is kind of soared. But this back line, the center back situation, I think it's going to be Heinz Ike and Cascante. Cascante wore the armband. So I'm 70% if you combine them. So it's 10 here, 60 here, 70%. But Svatog, he's going to get his chances as well. Vicenen probably gets a couple here and there. We could see a timeshare in the backside. So that's interesting. I do have John Gallagher starting in the midfield. You could slide Wolf here and then put Obrion here. I think that's more likely, but just based on like the percentages, this kind of hinges on Savovic, if he's healthy or not, as far as like, is he match fit completely? He got late into the window. So I do think he'll start whenever we switch around. Illy was named the captain. I said that Cascante wore the armband in the last match, but Illy was named captain. So he's going to be a key player in this. But, how much can he do at his age? He did kind of go downhill a little bit last year, but we'll see. A lot of different pieces, that's for sure. Next up, St. Louis City against Colorado. So we saw Colorado in the midweek take care of look at this. Did Wolf get more looks than Obrion in the preseason? So yeah, let's check it out. So based on the preseason, where's Obrion? Obrion started 3 matches there. And Wolves also started 3 matches. So they played the same exact. That's why I have them as the same percentage, basically. So that's just really a toss-up. Owen Wolf assisted. Obrion scored a goal. So it's pretty difficult. The kind of tiebreaker was the final match. It was Wolf in the starting lineup over Obrion. So that's why I ultimately ended up going Wolf in the starting lineup. Could be wrong on that, but that's kind of just how I got there. Let's see. St. Louis. So, Just Eat, this is your team. I do like St. Louis. I like St. Louis to win here. With Colorado coming in off the midweek, they just lost Reggie Cannon from, assuming that Reggie Cannon's out, they're missing a lot on the back line. I do like St. Louis's attack. Even if Touchard can't play, Bescher's fine. He's scored before. João Klaus, we'll see how good he is this year. But, Hartle's everything. I think Hartle's going to have a tremendous game. This is a great matchup. Even though Colorado's a good team, I'm not knocking them. I do think St. Louis at City Park is going to be something to deal with this year. And I have some high hopes for them. I believe in them maybe a little bit more than other people do. That being said, similar to my New England Revolution, I think they're a playoff team. I'm not going to go much more than that. If they can get some goals out of Klaus, like I said here. But, yeah. The Geezers. Yeah, so the Geezers, my thinking is, I know it's like the cold and everything. I think we could see like 1 or 2 guys rotate. Just because they did get an away goal. They're probably pretty confident they can beat Sporting Kansas City at home. They'll probably rotate a couple other guys there. So as far as Busquets, just putting out 100 the first one. I'm 80% on all those guys. They should start, but for some reason they don't. I don't know. It's the home opener. You would have to think they start the home opener, but that's just kind of where I believe. Yeah, when everyone's healthy, they just they had injuries last year. and Klaus to put, shots in the net. I think this might be the one where it's a cross-country trip, Seattle and Charlotte. I like both teams a lot. I like what Charlotte does defensively. Adding Zaha is huge. Seattle's front four is crazy good. Their back line is good. I think Seattle has the best lineup top to bottom in MLS. So no craziness there. But they might have a little bit of difficulty here. With them winning handily, I think the rotation will come in the midweek. They'll play a full squad here on the weekend. So yeah, I think it's gonna be a really tightly contested game. We might see like a 1-1 type of game, or maybe like a 1-0. Yeah, the wingbacks. Yeah, that Wallum. I saw some highlights of him. I like how he plays. I bought a Totland just because he had peaks last year. But yeah, Dunk, that's a good question. I bought a Berkey as well. So I am kind of putting my money where my mouth is with New England. I have a collection of New England, and I'm going through St. Louis, and I'm doing the same thing with them. So that's kind of, I find it fun. Instead of putting bets on them, I'm betting through Sorare. But it's not a betting website. It is. San Jose, I'm pumped to see how San Jose lines up. We had talked in the offseason about crazy, possible formations they could play. But this is kind of like a 4-2-2-2. I'm going to talk to the guys so that we could get something that looks like this. So it just pushes these guys up so that you can see these are defensive mids type, roles. But I think this is what we see based on the preseason. It was a lot of this. Chicho revenge match. Yeah. Taka Slayer. I mean, what more could you ask for? RSL, having to travel. I think San Jose, we're going to see how it goes right out of the gate. You got to like the pieces that they have. It's just, what are we going to see? RSL has a really strong midfield, so this could play a little bit tricky. If they leave a little bit too much openness in the center of the park, and maybe RSL controls the possession in that area. But it could be very, very interesting. Is Rusnak still in pens? We don't know. Jesus Ferreira might cut into those, but you would think since Rusnak's been on the team longer, maybe he'd be on them. I think we might see some splits. I really do. But could be tough. Down to our last two. So these are both on Sunday. Depending on your time zone, Sunday for me. The day after all the other matches. So however that would be for you. Portland, so many injuries early. It's insane. Playing Vancouver, who just played tonight. I'll have to look into that, and I'll have to do my lineup because I do have just a shell. But after the stream, I'm going to put that in there. I just wanted to wait for the end of the match. They did lose. So next midweek, they're going to be really going for it. So maybe we see some rotation in this opener as opposed to maybe, later on. But we did see a couple rotated pieces like Nagando. I couldn't imagine him ever playing, and he started. So there were some confusing ideas there. But Portland, it's just they have so many injuries already. We talked about it. I pulled it up earlier. The new signing 10 is not in. Santi Moreno is not ready. Jono Rodriguez is not ready. They have a lot of guys that just aren't fit, which is sad for them to start. They've been playing three at the back, so maybe some of those outside center backs could score well. Crepeau's good based on what we heard today. It was just like a scare. So as far as we're concerned, he's good to go. But yeah, not a lot to separate these two teams just based on injuries. Province Park's tough to play at. Probably lean Portland, but yeah. And then the last one, LA Galaxy. Here's where another one where I just don't agree. Sergi. I was shocked. I was shocked that he got a start, and I didn't even have him I had him at 0%. So like I wasn't even on my radar. But yeah, he had a solid match. I was actually pleasantly surprised with what I saw there. San Diego, first match ever. And they're facing the MLS Cup reigning champs. I like what San Diego has as far as their starters. After you get past their starters, they're going to struggle. So they're like an injury away from not being good whatsoever, but they do have a lot of nice pieces. They have some guys from the Right to Dream Academy, North Jalen. You know, there's some really nice pieces there. 70% chance of winning though for the Galaxy with this beat up squad. I don't know how much I believe in that. Peck is going to get his. You know, this is a great matchup for him. But they just have so many injuries to key parts. You know, no Paintsel, no Pooch. You know, they got rid of a lot of players too. So there's a lot of uncertainty with this team. The back line's still good. You know, it's a solid back line. There are some nice pieces. Cirillo most likely will start, so he'll have that little defensive role there. In the midfield as well, Marco Royce is going to be, how far can he take the team? Is he dusty? Is he too dusty? How long before he's injured? These are all a lot of questions. So San Diego, I think they have a fighting chance to get something out of it. But it's really hard to really, you know, we've seen preseason matches that doesn't really give you much to go off of. So that's kind of like my quick rundown of all the matches. But again, we are seeing teams for the first time officially. Every year I say, oh man, this team, or, you know, I'm really looking forward to seeing this. And then a couple injuries hit and then they're done. The Galaxy from not last year's run, but 2 years ago, they had injuries and they were just horrendous. So in MLS, if one of your big guys gets hurt, you're just out of luck. So let's get into the stupid amount of buys and the stupid amount of everything that I did. So I did, let's just remove all lineups. I guess I was playing around with it on my phone and it moved over. So let's reload this. We're definitely prioritizing the in-season. Obviously, we want to get the essence, and we want to get to D1. That's basically everything about it. So that is the idea. And I got enough players to hopefully do that. And I don't know. I like my teams. We'll see what you guys think. But I grossly overpaid, but I'm going to have fun. So whatever. What's Zenko role in the team? Based on the preseason, he's been a backup. He's the third center back. He'll get some center back rotation. In the offseason, I thought they'd play a little 3-4-3 based on their players, but it doesn't seem to be this. Doesn't seem to be, you know, Vanny's idea, and they haven't done that. So seems like he's just. It's kind of shocking that he was brought over to be a backup, but I like Garza's a lot better. Maybe Yoshida's slowing down, but he was just an Iron Man last year too. So how many people bidding on Pooch knew he had blown ACL? Yeah, you could have that as well. Those first prices, not to say that, you know, but those first prices went as if he was fully healthy, which was absurd. But we did kind of look at those. It was a collector who was trying to get the one of for like all of the Galaxy, or maybe it was the LAFC one. I can't remember, but still kind of crazy. Goalies, let's just no, we won't filter out. Might zoom in though. Does that get everything that we want in there? Yeah. Yeah, it's good enough. All right. So as far as goalie, I want a Pooch in the box sold for 48 days. Yeah. Colonel, what's happening? Is he out 6+ months? Yeah, I'd say more probably the 8 month, 7 or 8 months. I'd think from now. I guess since the end of last season, so we'll see actually. But yeah, 6+ months for sure. Same timeline as like Alan Velasco is kind of what has been thrown around, which makes a lot of sense. So the goalkeepers that I bought are Patrick Schulte. I bought the peak of him naturally. I think I bought a lot of peaks, but I bought Schulte, Roman Berkey. Actually, we will sort it by new season only. Just so you can kind of get a peek. Ivicic, my thinking with New England. I have a soft spot for Ivicic whenever he's at Portland. The first, or it might have been the second year I was on the platform, but whenever he used to grind thresholds, he was like the best keeper in MLS. Like he had a tremendous year. And like I just was using him as my goalie, and it was tremendous. He was awesome. But I got several just to play the matchup. So ideally, based on these guys that I bought, we're going to have a home match, to play in D1 every week. So that's kind of why I went this way. I got a Pulse Camp, and now I just need to get the backup. So I got Bono for Ivicic just in case someone gets hurt or, loses their job. I wanted to have that covered just in case. I have Shu from Pulse Camp. Romero just got the loan, so I was covered. Now I'm not. I'm going to have to buy all the 15 Columbus goalies, including Zawadzki. And then just some New York City guys, collection pieces, just for a stupid idea as well. But for my top lineup this week, I do like what Chicago is going to have. But, yeah. Arvston and Schulte, my Columbus guys, nice. I like what they have, but Schulte he's going to be my starter. Top lineup, definitely my starter. No questions about it. As far as defense is ugly, to say the least. I do need to take a look at maybe an Alba, but my thinking is my top lineup. I would like to be able to play an in-season card so that it frees up my Messi. That's just kind of what I'm doing. And then my other two, I have two Kais Classic. I can do that if I need to. And that's kind of my thinking. So DeJuan Jones, 100%. I don't agree with the 100%, but I do hope he starts. There's so many question marks about how they're going to line up. But yeah, if I was sure he was going to start, I would play him. But I don't think so. Not my top lineup. Aaron Herrera is going to be my top guy, but just based on other options, I do have a Ronald Hernandez. That was just a collection piece because he was cheap. I should probably just flip him based on his current price. I don't think he's a very good player, but he is going to start for Atlanta on that back line. Totland, like we just said, and then I have the center backs for New England. I got Sam. Is that tonight? Yeah. 14 AA. Okay. So I think he could be a valuable piece in the right matchup. Glavinovic, tough matchup. Sands might not start. He's closer to full health than Peyton Miller, but there's a chance he doesn't start. Not a huge chance, but, I don't feel comfortable in that matchup. Then the other pieces, these aren't great based on, Tana against Miami. No, just nothing really to see down here. Just a bunch of, Matthew Edwards. I guess I could throw him in there. But your Hoghide is my in-season that I'm hoping can be pretty solid. But he's not going to be ready yet. So just like my article said, I'm big on Aaron Herrera. He's going in the lineup. That's my defender position. And then as far as in-season, the rest of my defenders just aren't good. But do I buy a different one? Sure. But we'll see. As far as midfield, so like I said, I like St. Louis for sure. So I am going Hartle. And then my forward piece, I said it. I think Benteke is going to have a brace. So I'm going Benteke. And I was going to say, he's not showing up. And then the extra is going to be my Messi. So, oh yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm just sounding it out, and I'm gonna say your Hoghide forever. I think Sabala's decent considering. Yeah, he would be a decent option. I just think Herrera's upside, and especially if somehow Benteke, they could link up for a goal. I mean, that's wishful thinking, but your Hoghide, love it. Hey, see you later, Daniel. Appreciate you coming in. Appreciate that, Duncan. Yeah, obviously, I paid a lot for it. In theory, I should have a better defender. Matchup based. We got 5 homies. You got to think that goes to D1. If it doesn't, I'm going to be very disappointed. Things can happen, though. But not only that should get the essence, the 20 essence, but we'll see. Maybe Schulte has a horrible experience. He gets a 0 or something, but aren't we obligated? That's not going to be my strategy this year. Is there a hot streak the first week, or is it just regular? I will be trying to hit the hot streak. I'm not saying I won't be. But for my top lineup, I won't be trying to hit the hot streak unless it's like further down. I'm going to play my Messi as like a differential play just because I don't have an in-season, obviously. But yeah. The 2 goalkeepers, I was right there too. My first 2 I bought. I was just like, oh, this is a horrendous week 1 matchup. What am I doing? Don't speak into existence. Yeah. So that's going to be my first team. There's no kind of discussion on that as far as just my thinking. Second is going to be the in-season Berkey in that matchup. And then here's where I can kind of differentiate a little bit. I know Kai plays Orlando, and that's not a great matchup. So that's kind of a bummer. But you got to like what he's going to bring to the table regardless, just because, his worst matchups, he's probably in the 40s, mid 40s. He's had some stinkers, but with Jack McGlynn gone, he's on all sets. There's no issues. Boy, wouldn't this be awesome? Especially in MLS where you just don't have clean sheets. So that would be amazing if he just turned into Trafford. What's Trafford on? Like 14 straight or something insane? That's just crazy. I mean, I stopped playing, but I have been watching. Old Trafford. Talk about the in-season. I could play DeJuan Jones. That could have been like, play them together. But I'm not going to risk a DNP or, just a sub appearance. I guess sub appearance would be fine. But Kai just makes too much sense for both these lineups. 11 in a row. That's just insane. And then what I'm going to do is I like Chambos a lot. I like his role. I think he could have a huge year. And that was I overpaid for him, but he was like my guy coming into the year. So I really wanted to have him. So as far as the other options, Moranchuk's in a great situation against Montreal. There's a lot to like here. So basically, these are 2 similar lineups, but I'm going to go to the Atlanta stack in this one with Moranchuk and where's he at? And Miggy. I'm going to play them both together. I know they're not like they could link up, sure, but they're not like, I guess they could, but I don't think there's a ton of, I think it's a good piece of a mini stack, and then surrounding them with Kai makes sense. And then at the forward position, I don't have many great matchups as far as outside of the two that I played in the last lineup. So this is where, do I downgrade Kai to upgrade here, or do I do something different? Because I do have Diego Rossi, which would make sense, but I'm kind of looking at my third lineup for that. But before, is the streak starting in this game week just to make sure? Or does that start once we're in divisions? Does anyone know for sure? I assume it would start first game week, right? But that was what I was going to hold my last lineup for. But I'm going to go Denki as the other forward in that lineup. So as far as captain, I think Moranchuk makes a little bit of sense. Miggy, we don't know the situation. It starts this week. Okay. So my third one is going to be all. Denki, we don't know a lot about him. From the little that I saw, I liked. But it's just going to kind of come down to these two, in my opinion. For captain, they're showing Moranchuk's a little bit better, but I would love to see what sets look like and what Miggy looks like. So I'm going to actually captain Miggy because I think he could get some sets. And boy, I have high hopes. Maybe it's a little bit too early on him, but for now, that's what we're going to go with. And then the third one, again, I'm basically prioritizing. I want to get to D1 in at least two of the lineups, hopefully. And then whatever happens after happens. So we're going to go Ivičić, and this is going to be the defensive stack with, I'm not really sure, Fofana, or I was thinking looking at Ceballos, but where is he? Down here. I'm just not sure who would be a better play out of those two, but if Nashville can't score, if Mukhtar doesn't play, there's a lot of positives that could come out of this. Or if they both stink, whatever. But I kind of like Ceballos just based on what I've seen in the preseason. Brady at Columbus and Sirois at Atlanta. Yeah. That's not ideal. And then going from there, I like Chambos's lineup or his matchup, and I also like Pasalic. So I'm going to go Pasalic. I know I have other studs in here, but I am going to go Pasalic. And then I think I'm going to go against the grain and go Dreyer against LA Galaxy. Just as I know I have this Zaha here, but this is a tough matchup against Seattle. I know he could smash, but some of these guys I'm just going to play in the one-off competition, the anti-stack or whatever, or I'll play them down to scarcity, which is stupid, I know, but they will all have their role. My idea of getting like all these options was to A, have the options, and B, play the matchups completely. So that's kind of my idea. I could be way wrong on it and like it not go well, but I like having the options. And I think if I have enough options, I'm going to be in a really good opportunity to have at least one lineup that's really good every time. And then lastly, Carlos Hill makes too much sense. Forsberg and Cincy, he'll be all right, but not kind of what you want. But Chambos is another. It's just a matchup that is too good. I'm going to play my Hills. Don't worry. But I am going to go like this. So it's a different lineup. And I just don't think like people will have this lineup. Just kind of, it's different. Like I said, Chambos, I have a lot of high hopes. I'm going to captain him. So that's what I'm going to go with the 3 in seasons. This is the one that I'm going to try and streak for the cash or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I'm more worried about the D1 than anything. So if I don't get the streak for the cash here, it is what it is. But I just really want to get at least 2 D1 lineups. That would be a win regardless. So that's kind of my thinking. Might be right, might be wrong, but that's my thinking. As far as playing other competitions, I'll play the 3 in Classic, and I'll play most likely maybe 1 under 23, just depending. Like I have those Jack McGlynn's, so they'll probably get there. All-Star Rares probably gonna be last. And then maybe the anti-stacks 270. I'll play those 2. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. I just want to show you my build for the in seasons. But Diego, thanks for stopping in. Yeah, Shambo's more attacking, box to box for Aiden. Yeah, Aiden's just like his own breed. Like he was just unbelievable. I'm starting to lose my voice for sure, and I want to see the end of this hockey game. So if there's no other questions, I'm probably going to call it because we're going to overtime in 10 minutes here, and I definitely want to watch the overtime. So if there aren't any questions, probably just going to call it. I appreciate everyone coming in. Good luck. We're back, baby. MLS is back. Hopefully on Monday, my voice is a lot better. I'm sure this is not ideal to listen to. And I tell you what, I'm really struggling here. So thanks for stopping in, and we'll catch you after the weekend. We'll do a little recap. Got some midweek, and thanks for coming in. Enjoy the hockey game. Either side, it's Hershey. Good luck to Canada, and we'll be rooting for the U.S. here. So thanks to everybody for coming in.